Across the country, the weather is changing, football season is in full swing, and many businesses are still figuring out what their processes are going to look like in the new normal. But with fewer than 60 days until 2022, it's definitely not too early to start thinking about goals and resolutions. In fact, starting to plan for them right now might actually be what makes those resolutions stick past February of next year. I'm Scott Leahy, and this is Esker On Air. Today, we'll talk specifically about the resolutions that accounts receivable teams should consider making for next year and how they can prepare now to get senior leadership on board and ultimately make them a success. I'm joined today by Diana Eagan. She is Esker's Director of Order-to-Cash Sales, and she's here to share her firsthand experience with what Invoice-to-Cash leaders are doing now to prepare for and drive growth in the next year. So, Diana, welcome back to the podcast.
Thanks for having me, Scott.
Well, right out the gate, let's talk priorities. What are you hearing out there? What are you hearing about AR and what the priorities are going forward into 2022?
There are a lot of priorities planned for transformational change for the next year, and accounts receivable, really finance leaders in general have an opportunity to make a pretty significant impact based on the types of projects that they're going to undertake. I mean, with all the change that's happened in the past, year and a half, almost 2 years now, really a lot of the companies that we're talking to, they understand that, it's not about doing the most or the most work now. It's really about doing the most important work. And so there's a lot of priorities that they have to make. And they definitely want to focus in a couple different buckets per se. And AR leaders are talking about what they can do to really still eliminate kind of all those manual tasks, because a lot of teams are still working remotely or in maybe kind of this hybrid model environment, and they still have manual processes. And frankly, some even still have some paper-based processes. And all of that is detrimental to their productivity. So we've got to eliminate some of the manual tasks and all the back and forth still living inside someone's inbox and their email back and forth. They also have to recruit and retain talent. I mean, finance, teams they're just not immune to all the labor shortage that's happening everywhere right now. It's really causing them to take a look at how they attract, really good accounting and finance staff, especially kind of that younger generation, and how they're going to empower their current employees to keep them happy, ensure that they're not jumping ship and going someplace else. And then last, of course, they need better control, better visibility, and reporting over AR processes. So, after this big disruption over the last, again, year and a half, everyone's kind of looking for fewer surprises, and AR leaders just want to be able to keep a close eye on receivables and the cash conversion cycle as a whole, and, overall decrease the risk and be better prepared for whatever's next.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure everyone listening has had experience with New Year's resolutions over the years, and those can either be personal or professional. I'm sure we have experience with those resolutions that have started out strong but quickly fizzled out until they're forgotten about altogether. What do you think the difference is between AR initiatives that stick and those that die out before they even get off the ground?
Well, without a doubt, I mean, it's change management. I mean, the first step, right, in change management is planning for the change. The top companies, they just have this, unrelenting focus on efficiency, which really just starts from the very beginning. So, finance leaders, they've got to socialize what's coming down the pike. They got to get the cheerleaders and the project champions, on board early and make sure everyone understands that, with these types of projects, there's always going to be some small bumps in the road, but they need to get in front of and explain what they're going to do to mitigate some of those challenges. And they just really need to plan, for the change. If they do that, they'll make sure that those get off the ground and stick.
Well, based on that, what should AR teams be doing over the next couple months to set themselves up for AR growth in 2022?
Yeah, it's a good question, and I think first they just really need to take stock. I mean, they've really got to look at what processes need to be improved and automated. What you're going to make the biggest impact on overall working capital management. I know just in talking with our customers that at times, controllers, they just lack the necessary information to report on where the gaps are, right, in the process, and they struggle to make an automation investment, within credit to cash, but if you're going to get the C-suite on board, you need to know what the impacts of automation are. And they're going to need to be able to communicate that clearly and of course, with numbers, right, when they can. So you've got to start putting together the business case. And, any technology provider worth their salt is going to be able to help identify the highest impact, least resources needed opportunities, or even, what options are going to impact their customer experience most, or what external functionality is going to complement their existing ERP investment. They're going to be able to help the organization understand what those things are, for sure.
Let's say a business isn't able to fully automate their AR process all at once. In your experience, where would you say the most impactful place is to start?
I would actually be shocked if an organization wanted to fully automate AR all at once, end to end, unless, of course, maybe they're in the process of transitioning maybe to a new ERP. I mean, that's a big change. Billing and collections and credit management and claims and deductions and cash app. I mean, it's a lot to take on. And most will approach it, process by process, really kind of taking on only what they can kind of fully get behind as the business needs it, because, all of it needs to complement their current ERP. But what will have the greatest and most immediate and positive effect, on their customers, it's simply, for them to be easier to do business with. I mean, so by providing tools such as a customer portal, right, that gives them a place to view and pay their invoices and download statements and apply credits and have their customers be able to request, payment plans if you provide them, and sign up for auto pay and dispute and, communicate with your AR staff and so forth. I mean, it's a crucial element to have, and those capabilities are needed to improve customer satisfaction. So if you provide your customers with a bunch of these, like self-service options, it's going to reduce the need for their customers to contact AR, and ask about billing needs and asking about a copy of the invoice and such. So when that happens, then it gives the team much more time needed back to focus on, other aspects of collecting cash and managing receivables. So it's really a win on both fronts. I mean, it improves customer experience as well as, the back office efficiency.
And as finance leaders put their plans together for an investment in a process improvement project, what should they consider as they put their business case together?
I would say change is never a seamless process, but certainly distinguishing kind of fact from fiction is going to go a long way when building their business case. So for some companies, there's still this connotation that, automation is a replacement for people and, possibly a detriment to customer service. It's really not. Automation in finance it's much more like a highly productive member of their team. I mean, digitizing and automating the aspects of the process that should be automated while letting their existing employees focus their attention on just, again, more productive, high-value tasks. And, all AR departments have their own goals, but every AR department I know, every customer I've talked to has always shared three of the same goals, reducing operating costs, collecting payments faster, and strengthening their relationships with their customers. And so AR automation is just simply a tool to help support and accomplish those. So I would recommend for the business case, however, that they need to define what those objectives are very clearly, because ultimately they're probably going to have to prove out those goals. So things like, what do you want the project to accomplish? What specifically do you want to automate? Second, you got to back it up with research. You got to calculate the projected ROI. You got to document exactly what your process is today. And, again, when you work with a solution provider, you can then take that information and compare it to best in class AR processes. And then last, I would say, consult all the main stakeholders, right? Execs, IT, AR, team members, and frankly, even sales, especially if you're looking to change anything that's customer facing.
And so as AR leaders are going to be looking forward now, what obstacles do you think they might run into as they're trying to get these projects approved?
Yeah, I mean, considering how the last 18 to 24 months has challenged a lot of companies, it's not going to be easy. But it's also been a time that's really presented opportunities for many of our customers. I mean, especially those in industries like building materials and and life sciences. I mean, for those companies who have invested in automation for very specific business processes within finance, really because of the pandemic, like they needed tools accessible for remote work. Those companies are now kind of on phase two, and they're kind of maximizing their investment and preparing for even further, digitization of their department, which is, I mean, it's exciting. So I would say that, some of the biggest obstacles for any organization, frankly, these days is probably going to be securing IT resources, because you've got these types of, phase two projects all over an organization. So you're competing against a lot of different departments. And, companies are often already running pretty lean with IT. So my recommendation is to get those folks engaged soon, talk about what you're trying to accomplish with them, explore whether it makes sense, maybe to bring in tech resources temporarily, maybe from the outside. Would that actually cost the business less if you did that? I'd also really dig into kind of the real IT effort if you are exploring an automation option in a project in 22. For some automation options, the effort for IT really isn't as much as you would think. I mean, it's only kind of a couple of weeks. I know we have, Scott, in our portfolio, some solutions in AR where it literally is a few weeks to set up. There are other technologies out there that maybe they're kind of template based or they're on-prem. And so it's going to require a lot more IT involvement than, say, cloud-based solutions like what we provide. So I would just say really dig into it and find out what the real effort is, and then engage IT as soon as you possibly can to start having those conversations, because I think that's probably going to be the biggest obstacle people are going to face going into 22.
Sure. Well, I think it's clear here. There's an abundance of benefits for all areas of an AR team when automating. Diana, thank you so much for coming on the podcast again today and breaking all that down for us.
Thanks so much.
And thank you, as always, to our listeners for joining us. If you're looking for more information on digital transformation in your business processes, as always, you can find us at esker.com. In the meantime, stay safe, everyone, and we'll see you next time.